This week on Theme Park Workshop, we're visiting the Great American Melting Pot, in that we are melting a lot of different stories together into one giant pot of an episode.
Poseidon's Fury is back. Tron is in motion. Kumba is something.
And you wrote Ice Breaker!
Oh, yeah, I did do Ice Breaker. Well, we'll just have to listen to the episode to find out what I think, won't we?
We will. So go ahead and listen with us this week on Theme Park Workshop, the podcast.
Holla.
Also, there are some new songs on Rip Ride Rocket, which hasn't happened in 12 years. So it's pretty wild.
Well, we didn't talk about that. That can't be in our intro.
Welcome back to Theme Park Workshop, everyone. My name is Jonathan, and I'm here with my co-host,
Adam Johnson.
That's you. How you doing this week, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. I think I'm doing better than Disney PR, but things have been so busy. I'm not quite at a Lumity episode. Those are great Owl House episodes. I'd say I'm somewhere on a good night ride on Big Thunder Mountain. Don't like the line, but I feel satisfied.
Yeah, the line for Big Thunder Mountain at night is not fun, but the ride with the fireworks, chef's kiss.
Oui.
Anyways, yeah, if you just give me that trident of conversation, Poseidon, hey, it's in the spirit of the attraction. Poseidon's Fury is back.
Yes!
And Adam and I actually got to both go to Universal to experience it in its full glory. And it's fine. It's enjoyable and it's unique, and I would never ever want it to be replaced. But it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. With the 20-month closure, I'm not sure if we expected this or we thought they were going to do more. I think when they closed, it was the fear that it'd be gone forever, and we really didn't. I mean, we got to say goodbye. We knew it was closing for a time. We just didn't know how long that time was going to be, because Barney didn't survive the same kind of closure. But so we weren't sure if Poseidon's was going to. Luckily, it made it through. I know some people thought maybe they'll go back to story one. They finally went back to the drawing board, and they're going to bring back Mermaid Poseidon, who's evil, and the story teller, the story keeper. I know we did that episode, but I did research for a follow-up. Or Zeus. Let's call him Zeus, because that's what it was. I don't know. Wishful thinking. I'll call that wishful thinking. I didn't think that was going to happen, but maybe some people thought, maybe they'll do a third version to try to keep Lost Continent fresh. It'll be a brand new thing. It ended up being the same, just it looks pretty now. I mean, it still looked great. That facade is something to behold, if you know what I mean. But I'm just saying it looks good. Jonathan, get your head out together. I see your face.
If you said, yeah, if you know what I mean, what do you mean?
I didn't realize there was confusion. I was just saying it looks good. Sometimes the meaning is right there, Jonathan. There's no subtext. Sometimes I just feel like saying things like Jeff Goldblum. Anywho, I love the paint job. I think things start to pop now. Not that they didn't look good before, but now it feels fresh and the same, which is kind of what you want after you've been waiting for 20 months. You don't want cobwebs,
Yeah, it's like when you have Coke and it's been sitting around for a while and it's no longer carbonated. It's it's fine. You can drink it. It still tastes good. But then, sometimes you just need to reshake that bottle and get some carbonation, baby. And then you got that carbonated Coke, and that's definitely how soda works. And this is a perfect metaphor. But yeah, I think Poseidon's Fury being back is great, but there's nothing else like that water tunnel practically at Universal that I feel like has that same wow factor. That is such a cool practical effect. There's nothing like it at Disney. There's nothing like it anywhere else. It is truly unique. And there's also, I don't think, a better practical reveal than the City of Atlantis from the Small Room. I feel like those are two back-to-back stellar practical moments in a world that needs more of those because it's dominated by screens. So I'm so happy Poseidon's Fury is back. I think they need to add better Wi-Fi to the queue. But
you can't even connect to the Universal Wi-Fi. I think that's the biggest reveal, the biggest shock of this reopening. I knew the cell service was dead, but in the past couple of visits, I think to myself, I'm going to use the universal Wi-Fi. It'll drain my phone, but I got a charger in the car. Things will turn out okay. I couldn't even connect to Universal in Universal. It was the strangest thing. It was as as strange actually as the. Did you know that Coke Zero got its taste changed in South Carolina? It tastes like bad fruit.
Why
I
in
don't
South
know why.
Carolina?
I don't. My mom was in South Carolina this past 2 weeks, and she got Coke Zero, and she brought it back, and we don't know which one is which. We don't know which is the bad Coke Zero or the good Coke Zero. Just to bounce off your Coke metaphor without a metaphor.
Oh my. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't
Yeah.
have a whole lot else to say about it. Do you want to talk about how Poseidon is like a deeper character than uh Peter Pan and Peter Pan's Laugh?
Well, Peter Pan doesn't talk much on Peter Pan's Flight, and I do appreciate a good silent movie, but the ride itself does not offer too much besides a flying feeling, which is enhanced rather at the competing park. Granted, it's a newer park, but still competing. Universal Studios Florida at the ET Adventure. One thing I also learned: this really isn't a new development, but it is a new detail I noticed. Darkanon be bad at math on the signs. As you know, the ride has kind of like a prelude, a pre-show, and in the form of these signs as you're entering the Temple of Poseidon's Fury, which is what the temple's called. I'm not sure if you knew that. And on the signs, it says that the Global Discovery Group estimates that the last battle between Poseidon and some dark force, perhaps Darkanon, was in like 400, 300 BC. Darkanon, however, in the final battle for the fate of Atlantis and our souls, says, "This battle began 1,000 years ago. It will end here." No, Darkanon, it's like 2,000. You got to round up, okay? I know you've been dormant. I know you've been silent, but come on, is that spell really that bad for your arithmetic? I wonder. I wonder. No wonder Poseidon won. Poseidon's people have better education than Darkanon. That's
He's
all
doing
I'm
a
gonna say.
disservice to the Roman Empire
Or the Greeks.
or the Greeks.
Is it Istanbul or Constantinople?
Aristotenon
I don't know.
nickname.
I guess it's nobody's business but the Turks, but they don't show up in this attraction. Anyway, if you're in the Universal area, do go and check it out. It is a fun relic. It is worth seeing. It is worth enjoying. Go support Spieling attractions. We really don't have very many left. What is
It
it, like
is,
Poseidon's Fury and Jungle Cruise?
yeah.
Fast and Furious supercharged pre-shows. I mean, we're really at slim pickings here, folks.
The
So
moniker
go
is
support your local
Universal's.
tailor.
The moniker is Universal's complicated cult classic. So
Yeah,
that
that's a
sounds.
perfect title. It's like one of my favorite titles that we've come up with. I
I
think that was
agree.
you. That w- I'll attribute that one to you because it was good.
I don't remember, but thank you, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
flattered. So yeah, Poseidon's Fury is back, and now I don't like to admit this. Um, I got
This is a safe space.
I got fact checked.
Mwah, mwah.
For spreading fake news.
Is there a misinformation campaign you have against the Walt Disney Company, Jonathan?
No, there's not. But I did make a factual error in our previous episode where I said that, and Adams, he can edit in the quote, he cannot. I'm gonna paraphrase myself where I said, quote, the Imagineers are not working on anything anymore. There's no new original attractions coming out anytime soon. There's nothing happening in Shanghai.
In the
Um,
next 5 years.
in the next 5 years. End quote. And
That's a rough quote, but we'll accept it.
and this was pointed out to me by one of our patrons, Landon Kanoki, that Shanghai Disneyland still has Zootopia coming, and I forgot it's like Shanghai's getting the whole Frozen Zootopia, whatchamacallit, and they're getting Wandering Oaken's Mine Train, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, those are fine, but the big deal is Zootopia coming to Shanghai, which, that is a big deal. An original Zootopia dark ride. Any Disney animated feature getting a dark ride is a big deal. So my pushback on that would be that Imagineering probably finished designing that a good while back. And also from things that I've read and heard, Imagineering, which was over 1,500 people before the pandemic, has now dwindled down to less than 100 because of COVID cuts and just budget cuts across the parks. Obviously, we're not getting a lot of new attractions outside of either clones or things that were greenlit 7 years ago. So, Imagineering doesn't really have as much to work on nowadays, and that's why they're doing the move to Florida now, as while Imagineering is small and they can staff back up in Florida in theory, assuming they actually want to build new attractions. But that's it's a hefty charge for Disney to build new attractions. I think I saw somebody tweet earlier this week that when Bob Chapek was confronted about the Mary Poppins and the Avengers e-ticket attraction, they said, "Ah, yes, we're Disney, and we really had to stop and cut our e-ticket attraction based on our most popular franchise ever, the Avengers, because we don't know if it's gonna be worth the return." It's just like Mary Poppins. Okay, sure, I can see that. I don't think it's good that you announce something and then don't follow through with it. Same with
Yeah.
Spaceship Earth. But how an Avengers e-ticket attraction? How is that something that gets at the moment it looks to be canceled? It's said to be put on the back burner, but even if they started construction today, Lord knows we would not see that for 5 years. It would be 5 years of construction because that's just how Disney rolls.
I mean, Jonathan, I mean, you got to look at Galaxy's Edge. You got to make sure your C tickets and your B tickets are in fine working order, that they can stand alone before you wow everyone with your E ticket.
Exactly.
And this whole thing about Imagineering, I mean, where's that coming from? Is that you'd say it was Jim Hill?
Yeah, Jim Hill and Drew Taylor, I believe. Drew Taylor did the piece, and from what he said, he did a piece about Imagineering, and one of the Imagineers from inside reached out to him and confirmed that this was true. So this is all secondhand. This is secondhand reporting from me, but as far as I know, it
Yeah, we're
is.
surely not breaking the story.
Yeah, it is currently true that Imagineering has around 100 or less employees. Um,
And I can't believe that. And on Disney Plus, they're doubling down kind of on Imagineering content. I mean, they came in right out the gate. I think what convinced everyone to get a Disney Plus subscription and not just cancel after Mando was the Imagineering story. Like when that series came out, when Disney Plus came out, no one was saying, "Oh man, have you seen Mandalorian?" Everyone's like, "So, I got this Disney Plus. You've heard of Disney Plus, right? Yeah, yeah. Imagineering story is fantastic. It's blowing my mind. I don't even like Disney. Imagineering story though, ooh, so good. And then behind the attraction, not as popular. People aren't talking about that as much in a positive way, but it's still Imagineering content.
yeah,
So after the word on the street, like if you're consuming Disney media, the thing you have learned, if you're consuming all of it, is that Imagineering is a core pillar of Disney, and if what Jim Hill and his co-host are reporting is true, then that's certainly depressing that it
yeah.
has so dwindled. Wow. Yeah,
So yeah,
I don't
that's.
know what to say.
And meanwhile, Universal down the street about to open Epic Universe. That's not to say Universal Creative hasn't had their more recent blunders. We saw the Jurassic Park hanging coaster open largely unthemed in Beijing, which was very rough. But of course, right next to it is Jurassic World Adventure, which we're hailing as one of the greatest combinations of screens and practical sets in Spider-Man. So, it's
Spider-Man,
it's a Spider-Man. Uh,
dinosaur DNA.
so to transition from a dour note to a more chilling take, Adam got to ride Ice Breaker for the first time at SeaWorld, and I certainly gave my thoughts on it. I remember I said that it was a good fit for the park. The airtime was great, the launches were fun, and the restraints were some of the worst things that had ever happened to mankind. Um, Adam, what was your take on Icebreaker?
Okay, so before I give my take, I'm going to talk about my expectations going into it. As I talked about on our Icebreaker episode, which you can listen to, it's episode 11. Um, It's a good episode. What I expected going into it was a fun enough roller coaster. It sucks that it has comfort collars. Who wants that? But we'll live with it. What I did discover after writing it was it is a good coaster. I'm going to say that right now. It is a good coaster with a well-designed track layout. But oh Lord, I have never felt such a unique form of pain as I did on that ride. And the strangest thing is, before I describe that feeling and that sensation, is it's strange to say the ride hurt, but I would go on it again and I kind of liked it. I didn't like the pain. Okay, I'm going to clarify that. But it is a good coaster and I'll recommend you go on it. Here's the thing though. The comfort collar is silly. It's shouldn't be there. I didn't know how to put it on. I'm like, where's this buckle into? Like, is it magnets? Like, what's going on? And then, of course, the ride attendant's like, no, you click it, click it like that, bud. Okay, and moves on. But like, moving out into the new track, that was pretty cool. Or like from the station to the track, that was cool. The launches were thrilling, going back and forth like that. A little more intense than I was expecting, but I like that. I like that. So much so that as you launch into the forward kind of curve, like when you start going like up into the track thing, and then it sends you backwards because you don't have enough speed to make it over. That's part of the thrill. We were in such a position. I think we were in the middle. I want to say, but we were in such a position at that point that I kind of like yelled, and I put my restraint a little bit tighter, just out of like reflex. And then we went backwards and went up. And there's so much airtime, as Jonathan mentioned in our review, his review rather. There's so much airtime that we would go up a lot. But with me on this ride, my belly, which I do have, it's like a little over 200 pounds. There's a gut. It would go as we went up, my whole gut would go up. As we went down, my whole gut would go down. It was like a stapler was attacking was attacking my belly. And I hoot, I holler, I yell, I sometimes scream on a ride, but it's all out of fun. It's like, yeah, woo, loop de loop. Oh, I'm falling. But like,
Feel free to take those sound effects and use them in your personal project.
yes, royalty free. Um, like I make noises. I am articulate on a roller coaster. I was on this one too, but Landon, who we mentioned earlier, and is a good friend of ours, I went on it with him, and he was concerned afterwards. He's like, because there were sounds of pain. He's like, I don't think you like that very much. Are you okay? Like I was like, did you like it? What'd you think? Is are you okay? I'm like, ow, no, no. So for me, this is a coaster that I'm not rushing to do again, but it's not one I'm going to avoid per se. Maybe if like I have the same experience the next time or the time after that, maybe it's one I'll avoid. But it is like a weight goal coaster for me. It's like, okay, when we lose the belly, probably won't be the same experience. I can enjoy it for what it is, what it's worth. And maybe it's a neck against the ride that sensation is happening. I don't know how many people are having that feeling. I know Theme Park Express, my brother watched his video on the ride, and he was having that sensation. And I know you had that sensation on Iron Gwazi. I didn't. So it is, your mileage will vary. I think it's a good middle coaster, as Jonathan was saying, for SeaWorld, which, by the way, revisiting SeaWorld, very pretty park. And I dislike Kraken a lot less than I thought I did. But maybe I just braced myself the entire time so I didn't get shaken about too much. And Manta's a beautiful roller coaster, and Mako is as good as everyone says. And I'll leave it at that. Ice Breaker is just another good one to have. It's in a unique place in the park, but it sounds like they're gonna ramp up construction on their next roller coaster. What, like a stadium?
It's already starting. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
supposedly the B&M Surf Coaster, which has inspired thousands of 2K subscriber coaster YouTube channels to talk about what it could be with no knowledge. But the word on the street is that it's B&M's first attempt at a custom launch coaster outside of Thunderbird at Holiday World. I think is that's it. General sentiment, and then the confusion is, well, SeaWorld just built a launch coaster. Why another one? Why 5 minutes away? We don't
Have
know.
you looked at Universal Studios? All they have are launch coasters, with the exception of their worst one and the kiddie coasters. So, I mean, no, I don't think people are really going to care.
This is true.
Granted, in a coaster park, you want to have variety, but I mean, if it's good, I don't think people are going to care.
I just hope it's pretty, and then it redoes the front entrance, and that
Yeah.
it's something that's like marketable. Because Icebreaker, cool as it is a tough thing to market, and so I want SeaWorld to be able to have something that, come Epic Universe and everything else, tells people, hey, you got to get to SeaWorld to ride this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little frightening to think that their next coaster is a prototype, because those are obviously never really the record breakers. If anything, Icebreaker felt like more of a prototype. Um,
Yeah.
but it'll be interesting to see. Like, I'm like I always say, I would rather have something unique and mediocre than something good but standard. It's
Yeah.
not
And
always true, but it's a sentiment for new attractions.
yeah, the new ones are what you can go and yell and tell your friends about. I like a standard coaster, as we've talked about before, and I'm sure we'll talk about later on the show. Kumba is an all-time favorite for me. It's still pretty standard, um, but I mean, it's just so well done within its usualness. I guess you could say. I don't know how unusual it is. Like I would say it's a standard roller coaster. When you think of roller coaster, you think of Kumba, probably.
Yeah,
Just maybe without the sound tunnel, maybe without the hill through the loop. It's a platonic ideal. If we want to get all philosophical in here, very like philosophy. So I mean, I wouldn't mind a normal roller coaster at SeaWorld, but I also would look forward to a another unique one personally. What I hope they do, and granted, I think it's a beautiful park as it is. And if you don't mind rewriting, if you look forward to rewriting things at a theme park, or you don't mind it and you're open to that idea, SeaWorld right now is doing really good, and I think they're actually growing. It is a bummer that Antarctica's not open. That Turtle Trek is shambles. That Wild Arctic is now a bar instead of a working attraction. That's woof. It wasn't a good ride. Let us be clear. But the fact that they said they didn't announce it was closing, they just set up a bar in the main part of the queue is kind of hilarious. But I think it's shaping up to be more and more. It's going to be like you gotta go to SeaWorld. You gotta go to SeaWorld.
it's really grown into the local culture, which is giving them the money they need to expand and become the park that they need to be. The key is just, let's maintain the things that we build. Again, like you mentioned with Antarctica and Turtle Trek, it's like you can't go through renovating a whole land and have it be in shambles. Like,
Yeah.
Antarctica is still just baffling that they continue to play the pre-show and have another mini pre-show that like welcomes people. Like, I get that they have to control flow through the penguin area, but it was so clearly not designed for that, that the line without the ride is usually longer than the line with the ride, which, man, it's like you're waiting 50 minutes and you're not even getting the ride at this point, and it's just like,
I was shocked when you told me that when we were at the parks and you said, "Oh yeah, it's just an aquarium, not an aquarium, a penguin encounter," but they still play the pre-shows. I was in shock. I thought it was just an hour wait to see some penguins, not watch two okay movies before you see the penguins. Like I was baffled. I was
yeah.
baffled. But I mean, I guess people don't mind waiting an hour to see a penguin. So
It was an ambitious concept. I think for our patrons, we have our original Antarctica script in
yeah, that's probably
available.
back in 2020. I want to say.
That was when I wrote that. I was talking about how it had switched to weekend only operation. Now it's like shuttered, so I really don't think SeaWorld's going to invest the money to keep it open. But it was a much needed family ride, and it always had
Yeah.
a line. It was never abandoned. So I don't know. Maybe it was just too expensive to run. Maybe just ops didn't like it. Maybe the
Well, I think you said they forgot to plug it in and they just don't want to replace the batteries.
that's the current thing with COVID, is the thought is that they didn't plug in the batteries. But I mean, even before that, it's like they were already starting to do seasonal. So it's kind of like, uh Yeah, and I want to talk about Antarctica more at length in the future.
Yeah. Man, that's a weird thing. Like these theme parks, some of these theme parks are building big elaborate rides and then put them seasonal way too early. The rumor on the street is that Fast and Furious might be seasonal because the queue is being renovated to be part of a Horror Nights house, or at least a
Yeah.
line for Horror Nights house. I won't get into that too much this episode, but it was a crazy thing to hear on the theme park stop, Alicia Stella's podcast. I'm like, what? So that and Antarctica just are unlucky, but Antarctica is a much better ride than Supercharged.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Even
Has its
if it,
own land.
yeah, and it's got its own soundtrack, its own original. Man, yeah. Again, I will shut up about Antarctica for now and save that all for later. But yeah, you also got to go finally get some more night rides on the V coaster.
Yeah, well, it was actually my first night ride ever.
Oh,
I've never done a night ride. You've done like, I don't know, 65. Um how many rides have you done on VelociCoaster now that I'm thinking about it?
at least 20.
Okay. I've probably done less than 10, but that's just because of how often I'm at the park. It's not I'm not always at Universal, and usually I'll probably do VelociCoaster once, twice if I'm with my Orlando friends. But anyway, yeah, finally got to ride it at night. It's a unique experience for sure. It is, a little freaky to ride it with the lights off. The back of our seats, I think they're supposed to light up. I don't think they lit up, so I don't know if certain things were more obscure than they would have been. But it wasn't the transcendental experience people hyped it up to be. But it was certainly a pretty cool experience nonetheless. Yeah, definitely go on VelociCoaster and ride it at night. It's worth the wait.
Did you put your hands up?
Of course not. No, you kidding?
I have to ask.
I know, I know. It is probably something. Putting my hands on VelociCoaster would probably be something I do when you're not there, and it's nothing against you. It's just it's probably not going to happen when you're there because you want it to happen. It's like Santa Claus, right? You want to see Santa Claus come down the chimney, so you stay up all night to see Santa Claus come down the chimney. You hide, but Santa Claus doesn't come down the chimney. You know who comes down the hallway? Mom and Dad with the bag of toys. I don't know where that simile was going. I just kind of got caught up in it. We have that issue with Santa Claus. Look, thinking back to our Kong video too. Any and it is cool though to see like in the pre-show how they have the background change to be nighttime, and how different, how weird looking the VelociCoaster window looks with it like being pitch black outside. You can
Yeah.
even see like the details in that area of the queue because it's already dim, so the effect works. Um, it kind of makes the train look more animated than it already does. It's not, but almost like looks like it because of the lights. But yeah, it was really cool. It's still an intense roller coaster. Still like it more than Iron Gwazi, but that's not. I mean, come on, they're both great rides.
They are.
Um, I like that extra kick though that VelociCoaster brings. It is completely worth the price of admission at Islands of Adventure. You've never ridden anything like it, probably.
Yeah.
Not with that backward structure. I think that's what it is. It's the backward structure that makes that ride phenomenal. And riding that without really seeing what's in front of you is another unique thrill in itself. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more night rides on it. Sure, see more of that watchtower going off. Maybe looking around a little bit more. And the VelociCoasters, the Velociraptor. I think that the statues are sold a little bit more. It's a little bit more freaky, um, with them in the dark.
Yeah.
Because
I
by the time you see them, they're like right there and they're roaring at you.
yeah. I still will never be able to get over the Mosasaurus roll.
Yeah,
That being so close to the water, I don't think there's literally any other inversion like that. And it's just such a thrilling feeling to just be flying over the water and then to just look down and you're just like, man, yeah, it's there's nothing on Iron Gwazi that tops the Mosasaurus roll as much as I love Iron Gwazi.
yeah.
All right, so I guess this is our last story. Tron. Okay, so I'm doing the introductions. As Adam just has written in the notes, Tron got some fresh air the other night. I'm not entirely sure what this means. Would you like to elaborate on this story?
Yeah, pictures came out of Tron, meaning they're doing like the Jonathan. You'll have to correct me on the verbiage, but they're doing the pull test.
Yeah, pull through test.
Yeah, they're doing a pull through test. That's progress. Thanks to progress, you can look forward to this opening. Maybe,
In 2024.
who knows?
I know the current word on the street is that they will have it it'll depend on how summer traffic goes with Guardians. And also because the whole 50th anniversary campaign for Disney World has basically been a complete failure because A, Epcot's not finished, and B, there's just like no new offerings for the 50th. I know somebody posted a picture the other day of the airport where there was an advertisement for kite tails and along it
Yeah,
said come for the 50th basically the whole 50th anniversary celebration has been a big bust. It's like marketing just can't do anything to get people here because of rise of Omicron, and also Disney has literally nothing new good. Even like Ratatouille's not bringing the people from across the country.
this is
Um,
the people across the country. I was going to say, well, the people across the country have it in France, but that's another country across the river. I mean, the ocean, the pond.
Pond.
Somewhere in Europe, there's another Ratatouille ride. Why do they want to go see the American one?
Exactly. So I think they're really looking to super or not to supercharge. What am I saying? To cosmic rewind to save the summer season for Disney World. And if it doesn't work, Tron will be ready for October. If numbers go up and hotel rooms get filled, Tron will be pushed to 2023 spring. But of course, this is all tentative. This is just what I've heard.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for Guardians. I'm not going to go ride it, but I'm excited for it. I don't need to rehash that again.
Now, you just mean you're not going to write it immediately. You are going to go back and write it, yeah?
Oh,
Or are
yes.
you
Yeah.
still not sure?
Well, it'll depend on if I can ever ride it more than one time a day.
Gotcha,
with
gotcha.
with Rise of the Resistance, that had boarding groups for
A long
two
time.
2 years. Yes, we'll see
It
how
was almost a definitive part of the ride experience,
you couldn't
and
discuss it
now it's
without.
not.
But yeah, so
Before we move on, though, I am like curious because I don't think we ever talked about Tron in any length. We kind of repeat the Diz Twitter talking points, which is, haha, it's not open yet. Boy, what a failure. Josh tomorrow, come on, come on. We can only give your beautiful looks so much of a leeway. Come on. But I mean, like, are you excited to experience it when it comes out? Like, what are your thoughts about having Tron Lightcycle Coaster, coming around?
well, Disney has this really great talent of showing us that Vekoma can actually make good roller coasters. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I think Tron will be fun. Um, but I just can't envision it being more fun than something like Cheetah Hunt.
Mm,
Like I think about Cheetah Hunt and I think about how long that is and how the idea is the launch. Like Tron as a coaster, I don't know how long it's actually gonna feel when you're on it, but it's got what the outdoor section, indoor twisty turnies, and then you're done. And like the videos probably don't do the effects justice that make it look like you're on the grid, so I'll reserve judgment for the whole
yeah,
inside portion. But as a
because
coaster,
because test track videos didn't do that justice for me.
that's true. But as a coaster, it doesn't really look like it's doing anything that is particularly new or exciting. Um, and Flight of Passage has already given me that riding on something feeling through the sky. It's still simulated, but it's similar style seating. So at the end of the day, I'll ride it when I go. It might be a surprise. I might really like it, but I also don't have a huge personal connection to Tron. I did hear that Disney is in the works on Tron 3, which is interesting because Tron had the original movie and then Legacy, and Disney was planning to launch Tron as a franchise to the point where they greenlit a Disney XD series for
I
their
released it.
yeah,
It happened.
for their channel called Tron Uprising, which apparently left on a cliffhanger. People have asked me to cover it on my sister channel, The Second Dimension, always be plugging.
You really don't plug that much. You should plug more.
Follow me on the second dimension on YouTube. But yeah, I'm very curious as to the Tron lore, but it's just one of those rabbit holes that like I'll pick a month and dive down the Tron rabbit hole, learn everything, get excited for the ride, make a 3-hour video on it for Theme Park Workshop, and never think about Tron again.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it because I've not been on that kind of roller coaster. I feel like the only one that I can think of that's like it is Pony Express. I thought Hagrid's was going to be like it, but Hagrid's ended up being something different.
You've been on Pony
Um,
Express?
huh?
You've been on Pony Express?
No, I've not been on Pony Express.
Oh, but that's the
But
only one.
Pony Express is the only roller coaster I know of that uses a similar ride vehicle,
Right.
similar setup where you're kind of on your belly, but not quite, but almost like you're leaning.
Yeah.
Gotta
You're
make sure you don't
straddling.
have holes in your shorts. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to experiencing it when it opens. Maybe not on opening day. Who knows? I never know. It's so far away. And it is very close in theme. It feels like to Space Mountain that it's kind of okay. What are we doing here? How's this going to work thematically? But I don't think anyone's going to care as soon as it's open and people are writing it. Um, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure it'll be fun. I do have a little bit of reservations that you have, and that when I watch the videos, like it is a great epic launch outside out of the grid, and then when you're back in the grid, it feels kind of short, but it's also the length of a normal roller coaster, like what 90 seconds. So
Yeah.
who's to say? That's came off way more negative than I feel like I feel about this ride. Like I'm pumped for it. I'm excited. I do like the Tron movies. The first one's okay. It's good, like totally worth watching. Um, Good music, but Tron Legacy is just so much better. And the only thing that could possibly make me less excited for Tron 3 is if they cast Jared Leto, and there they go.
I guess my concluding thought on Tron is that it feels like the laziest thing Imagineering could have done with Tomorrowland.
Oh yeah.
They basically, like, when you think about how parks are designed and where e-tickets are placed, putting two e-ticket coasters right next to each other baffles me. It especially when they're both sharing a similar theme. It's not like, oh, they added a new coaster to Fantasyland that's, a 5-minute walk and those are two big e-tickets. It's like it's a very similar theme.
I mean, Tron was Shanghai's Space Mountain.
It was, yeah. That was the Imagineering story was like, well, we could be lazy and do a Space Mountain, or we could do something new. Tomorrowland itself has so many problems that need to be fixed. It needs that full refresh, and it's slowly gotten things changed. But just like of all the things you wanted to fix in Tomorrowland, of all the creative things you could have done, you decided to clone a coaster from Shanghai that was a replacement for a coaster that you're also keeping in the like. It just screams we need a big e-ticket, but we don't want to design anything new because if Tron was not already designed for Shanghai, there would not be a Tron attraction as the first pick for Tomorrowland. Tron is only chosen because Tron is already is already designed. If there was something else they could theme it to, they would. But it's like,
Yeah, Disney hasn't really made any sci-fi movies lately. I mean, besides the Star Wars, but I guess you can count Marvel as sci-fi,
I mean, Lightyear.
science fantasy.
I guess they would
Oh
figure that
yeah,
out years in advance.
they do
But
have the Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin. What if they give that a facelift? Oh boy, I would really look forward to that. They're
me
not.
too.
If they've looked at that for 20 years and said, yeah, that's as good as we can do, they're never changing that. But
My
man, what a stinker.
I guess my comparison would be it would be like if Disney kept Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin and replaced Stitch's Great Escape with Toy Story Midway Mania and said, "Hey, you get what I'm
Where,
saying? They're
where
both
are you going with this? Where are you going with this?
My point is they're both shooter rides."
Oh,
Right.
you're making the comparison. This is not something you want.
No, 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 no. This is not something I want.
Okay.
I'm making comparison. This is like if Disney said, "Hey, we need to fix Tomorrowland. Let's put Toy Story Midway Mania right next to Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin because
I gotcha.
we already designed it."
The listeners at home can't see my face because we do not record video on this. But I looked at him with great confusion because I thought he said my dream to fix Tomorrowland is to add Midway Mania next to Buzz. I'm like, are you gonna make like a Pixar port? But I get you now. Yeah, no. And I agree. I hope they do replace Stitch with something.
Yeah.
Because that space just needs to be used. Or unless it's a really great, like cast member lounge, then I mean all the power to you that you get that space. But
I like the Wreck-It Ralph concept. I think VR in parks is a hard sell anyways, but to be able to integrate Wreck-It
the
Ralph.
lines were always long for VR at Disney Quest, even when it wasn't a popular in its last days. The VR attraction lines for Aladdin and Read the Comics was gone, so it might have just been Aladdin at that point. Was like over an hour to do that, and that was like VR from 1998. So
yeah,
take that for what. But yeah, with the new technology, the kind of things they're moving forward with at the Void before that unceremoniously shut down. I mean, it could have been promising if that's still in their back pocket.
Here's my take. If I had to fix Tomorrowland, and I still needed a big e-ticket, and it needed to be a coaster. Wouldn't do Tron. We do a coaster along the rooftops that goes around people mover style. You still have the launches, kind of like that idea of rocket rods of a thrill attraction in the sky. But then you have kind of like this, because you know how futuristic cities, they often like, tower up. It's like, okay, so then the top thing you have is a kinetic moving coaster around the land that, maybe you put the entrance like bulldoze Tomorrowland Speedway, and that's where the end of the ride and station goes. And then you have extra kinetics for Tomorrowland, something that helps tie the land together, and it also just adds more of a unique flair. You have a really unique coaster. You could even make it family style. Like obviously you wouldn't have any super big drops on that, but you could have a fun launch. It could be like it would have a very different vibe than Space Mountain, which is also largely indoors, also largely about tight turns, close misses. It'd be a different style coaster. But that's my take.
Yeah, I like what you're pitching. You're kind of pitching like Disney Tomorrowland's Cheetah Hunt.
Yeah.
That could be fun. And I do like the idea of, obviously this is all blue sky, our dreams, But I do like the idea of bringing more kinetic, more movement in that land, because that's one of the things that makes it so attractive. Astro Orbiter, I don't like the ride, but I love looking at that ride. Tomorrowland, People Mover, I do love that ride, and that ride do look good. But like Space Mountain, you can't see that. Buzz Lightyear, you can't see that. Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, it's a movie. It's a movie that talks back. And I guess Tomorrowland Speedway is got that kinetics too, but not in the way you imagine tomorrow to be, the future to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can totally see them bringing in a roller coaster, an outdoor coaster one day. That would be really neat.
Well, imagine painting Cheetah Hunt's track white and putting that big tree. Think about how futuristic that would look if you like painted that like white and green or something and put that in the middle of Tomorrowland. Like that would, I think that would look futuristic. But
you know what? Because Disney would never let themselves outright clone a ride, especially from a competitor. What if they just buy Cheetah Hunt?
Yeah.
and do that? I don't think there's enough space in Tomorrowland for that.
I think Disney's too afraid of the exposed steel debate for that. It's like the only coaster.
It's the exposed steel of tomorrow.
The only coaster they've had with exposed steel has been Primeval Whirl, and that's because it was themed to a crummy stateside fair. I guess Barnstormer, but it's a kid's coaster, so it doesn't count.
Barnstormer. Don't bring up my trauma like that, Jonathan. Don't bring up my trauma. We've got an agreement, fine line, no trauma.
Another news story this week was actually that Kumba was rumored to be in its I'm looking at the notes Adam put in here, Twilight years. I never had Twilight years. I was never obsessed with Twilight, but neither of us are going to be talking about this.
I had my cultural moment. I related to Edward Cullen specifically, and this might surprise people, specifically because we were both very pale. As a 10-year-old, you'd think I never saw the sun. And when Edward Cullen saw the sun, he sparkled, which is why he lived in Washington. It was always rainy and cloudy in Washington. You should watch the movies. They're certainly a thing. Both actors have blossomed into glorious indie actors. Should all be Oscar nominated. In fact, Kristen Stewart should win the Oscar. Hopefully, by the time you're hearing this, she has. But anyway, I go on, and I'm just trying to delay the inevitable.
Anyways, this segment is not hosted by us.
Oh
This
no,
is by
no.
we did forget one little character this episode.
BB-27, Mr. Rogers,
No, it's
the CEO.
Balthazar Banshee.
No.
That's right, you ignorant plebes. Balthazar Banshee is here with the biggest news of the day, which is that there is none. Shocker. Almost all of the news in theme park fandom is fake news, and this has proven to be true with the rumors of the removal of my favorite Banshee coaster, with Lanshart of Screamscape reporting that Kumba was going to be going away. Well, I shouldn't be surprised. With Hulk getting retracked and Dueling Dragons getting demolished, this seemed like a credible rumor to everyone except for yours truly. Because I, Balthazar Banshee, love Kumba. It's been my favorite coaster since I was a wee Banshee egg, and my mother took me on it in the front seat. Its color matches that of my teal coat, and my mother said that's the reason I have my teal coat was because she loved Kumba so much. And so, I, too, love this coaster dearly. But this coaster, it changed the theme park industry. Why? Before it, B&M was just a company known for ball-crushing stand-up coasters. That was all they made, until Kumba. Finally, they transitioned to a palatable sit-down coaster. And this coaster also put Busch Gardens Tampa on the map for all eternity. And so, it's obvious that they wouldn't want to get rid of it. And some people say, well, it only ever has a wait of 5 minutes. Well, of course it does. It's in the back of the park, not because it's not popular. When you put Iron Gwazi and the Hunt of the Cheetahs and the Cobra's Bite all within 5 minutes walking distance of fake Morocco, of course that's where people are gonna go. And so this will be a shorter Banshee Beat than normal. More like a 3-4 and not a 4-4. But Kumba was never going to go. It's too perfect, the pacing is perfect, the colors are perfect, it reminds me of me. And Kumba should stay at Busch Gardens for all eternity. Lanshart, stop reporting this fake theme park news through Screamscape. And to everybody on Twitter.com, don't believe it. Don't believe anything you read on Twitter.com. This has been Balthazar's Banshee.
Wait, hold on, Banshee. I'm going to interrupt you for 5 seconds. Didn't Busch prove the rumor on Twitter? What are we supposed to make of that?
Well, you can trust official theme park accounts on Twitter. They usually don't lie. I'm talking about the rumor propagators, like Inside the Magic and Walt Disney World News Today. You know, the people who take that one picture that somebody posted on Twitter 8 months ago and turn it into an article about today. Those are the people that you can't trust. Who you can trust is the Busch Gardens official Twitter account. And so I, Balthazar Banshee, have concluded my dissertation on fake news in Diz Twitter and the state of Kumba the Roar. This has been the Balthazar Banshee Beat, and I will see you next time.
Well, that was Balthazar Banshee, and that was pleasantly short.
Yeah, it was nice. It was breezy. It was almost inoffensive.
I kind of agree.
I know, I kind of agree too. Although, I'm going to be honest, I didn't realize Balthazar Banshee had a mother. Kind of thought he had 2 dads, Jim Cameron and Joe Rohde, but no.
Yeah, well, you really think that Jim Cameron would ride Kumba?
He goes down to see the Titanic, so I guess he's seen everything else. What will Kumba offer him? I don't know. Joe Rohde has. That seems like his kind of ride.
Joe Joe, Nye the Science. We're recording this at 12:22 a.m.
Heyo.
Anyways, this has been Theme Park Workshop, the podcast. If you liked it, go ahead and leave us a review on iTunes or Google or Stitcher or wherever you listen. 5 stars. 4 stars for the audio quality and 1 star for us. Do you concur?
I think so. I had to do the math, but I think that still adds up to 5 stars, so I'll take it.
Yes.
Awesome.
Anyways, this show
Jonathan,
has
where
been.
can I find you?
Oh, you can. I was going to talk about how you produced it. You produced and edited this episode.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. You produced it and edited it, and people can find me at Wesley As You Wish on Twitter. And of course, you can find Theme Park Workshop at Workshop TP. And you can find Balthazar Banshee at Disney Banshee on Twitter. He doesn't tweet a lot. I feel like he keeps his opinions all bottled up for these episodes. So
I think since he's been more active, he's kind of been on Twitter less. I feel like
Yep.
I should take a page from that.
good for him, you know?
Good
Self
for him.
improvement.
Yeah.
He's taken to Facebook. No, he hasn't.
Oh man. But you can find me at AdamJ_film at Twitter. As no matter what I say here, I'll still be there way more often than I should. So I hope you like thoughts. But yeah, subscribe to the channel, the YouTube channel, Theme Park Workshop. Subscribe to the show, Theme Park Workshop, on your podcast apps. Oh, and I forgot to credit one person, Jonathan, for co-hosting.
Oh, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Also,
Yeah,
support us on Patreon.
Oh,
Thanks to
yes.
our patrons, AJ Dana and Landon Kanoki.
Yes, our wonderful patrons.
You can support us there. We have multiple tiers. We have
Yes.
my mind's blank. What do we got? The Mr. Rogers tier and
No. We got the Banshee tier, which is $2 because he gives us 2 cents. Hey, I just like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the $5 Brennan Fraser's cup of coffee tier, which has a couple more perks. So yeah, go ahead and check that out if you want to support us and our show and all that jazz.
Ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum ba-dum bum. This has been Theme Park Workshop, the podcast. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Ba-ba-da.
Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba.